Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great African American Read In Day number 15. 15 or
I
16?
think you 16, baby.
Had such a busy week. I'm talking about 15. Wait, 6.
Wait a minute.
Lord
It
have
might
mercy.
be
Day 17. Lord, we had so many
17.
different things. Day 17. Sorry about that. So it's day 17. Welcome to the Great African American Reading. My name is Gloria Kitchen. I am so happy on this afternoon. We have one of our favorite people who is now an author, Miss Corinne Parker. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Mr. Kyrie Denby, how are you doing?
I'm good. I think you got a little background music playing.
Yeah, I was like, I hear it.
I hear I'm happy. I'm happy.
I'm ready to dance.
That's it.
Okay, let me turn this music. It's still playing.
I'm ready
That's
to
all right.
dance.
One moment, let me go ahead and get this music together. Sorry about that, y'all.
All right, we can dance like good.
Okay, I guess we having an intro, so that's good.
Keep on playing Denby's Playful Parable.
Okay,
Yes.
there we go. I'm like,
Yeah.
I hear the music going too. I'm like, wait, did it?
I was like making sure it wasn't me.
It's okay. It's okay. So
Yeah.
how you doing, Mr. Denby?
I'm good, honey. I'm ready to be in the house. Wow.
Wow.
Let's go.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Wildcats.
Y'all, we ready. We ready. The Wildcats are in the house, baby.
I love it. I love it.
We're gonna go ahead and Nate. We're gonna go ahead and give you the Zoom author Corinne Parker.
Hello. How y'all doing? So first, I just want to thank you guys so much for having me be a part of this amazing celebration of Black authors for Black History Month. And so I'm very excited to introduce my first book. I guess I should say my first published book. I actually wrote my first book while we were in college. And I started out as an education major, and Dr. Brown, if y'all now hear this. So she was one of my greatest inspirations that I wrote a book, but I never published it. And you know, technology was so different then. Look, we sound old, we're telling our age. Technology was so different then. I didn't have it saved. And when my computer crashed, so did the book. Wah, wah. But guess what? I came back, took a little while, lived life a little bit. And now I'm introducing a little a voice for the butterflies. And so I want to read it, and then I'll tell you a little bit about why I wrote this book. Okay, is that all right? Okay. A voice for the butterflies, a child's perspective on understanding stillbirths and miscarriages through faith and grace. Have you ever had a really bad day? Today, I want to tell you about one of my worst days ever. See, my mom was pregnant, and we were all very excited. We began to count down the weeks until Mama was scheduled to have the baby. I was looking forward to meeting the new baby and becoming a big sister again. Just a few more weeks to go. We enjoyed spending time together. We would talk to the baby and pray for her to arrive healthy and safe. Sometimes we would gather around Mom just to wait and feel the baby wiggle around in excitement. My brother and I would make sounds and talk to her and see who could get her to wiggle the most. I would always win. One afternoon, I watched as Mommy got dressed for her doctor's appointment. She combed her hair and put on her makeup. I thought my mom was the most beautiful woman in the whole wide world. I loved to sit and watch as she fixed her hair and put the finishing touches on her lipstick. We were looking forward to sharing all the girly days with my new little sister, playing in makeup, polishing our nails together. It would be so much fun. I loved when I got a chance to go with her to the doctor's visits. The nurse would let us listen to the baby's heartbeat. We would save the ultrasound pictures after each visit. Oh, how quickly the baby was growing. Mommy, can I please come with you? I asked. Not today, sweetie. You have homework to finish, Mom replied. She knelt and kissed my forehead. Please, Mommy, I begged. I want to be there to hear the baby's heartbeat. She just wouldn't budge. Her belly was so big that she would have me help her buckle up her sandals. I will bring you a new picture home today, I promise, Mom said, as she turned to me with a big smile before she headed to the doctor's office. I hurried to finish my homework so I could watch me and my brother's favorite show. Once I finished, I noticed Mom still wasn't back home yet. Just then, I heard the phone ring. My Nana beat me to it and answered the phone. It was Mom. I knew it. I begged my Nana let me speak to her. I noticed that my Nana suddenly looked a little sad. She slowly handed me the phone. Hey, Mom, is everything okay? I asked. Mom replied softly, Dad and I will be home soon. Something was strange. Why was she coming back with Daddy? Why wasn't he at work? I was anxious to see them both and hear how the baby was. When they walked through the door, Mom looked very sad. Her eyes were red and puffy. Was she crying? I thought. Are you okay? Did you bring us a picture of the baby today? I asked. She tried to keep a smile on her face. My brother and I jumped around in excitement. Wait, let's sit down and talk, Dad said. I felt my stomach sink. Mommy looked at us with tears in her eyes. The baby doesn't have a heartbeat. I'm so very sorry. She died, said Mom. She couldn't stop the tears from falling down her face. I couldn't understand what was happening. I was heartbroken. I didn't know what to do. My brother and I just hugged Mom and Dad. Dad said they had to go to the hospital so she could deliver the baby. He got up to pack her hospital bag. They said the baby died, right? I thought to myself, why would she still need to go to the hospital? This had to be a mistake. Mom still looked the same as she did before. I could see her round tummy. I thought back to all the times we talked to the baby and felt it moving around inside of her belly. I was so confused. I could tell my little brother was too. I had so many questions. It seemed like Mommy and Daddy were too sad to talk. Dad arranged for our Nana to sleep with us overnight, as they planned to be in the hospital for a few days. I didn't know what to do. I felt helpless. I just ran up to Mom as she walked out the door. We just hugged each other tightly. I love you, Mom. She whispered back, I love you too, sweetie. Mom and Dad left. I wanted her to stay with me. I had so many questions. How could this happen? I thought. I wanted it all to be a bad dream. Later that night, I wanted to call Mom to see if we could come and visit her at the hospital. But my Nana said we should let Mom and Dad rest. She said they would have a very long night. We said a special prayer for them that night. I could hardly sleep. Was Mom okay? Was the baby sick? How could she die in Mama's stomach? Why did her heart stop beating? Through my tears, I wondered, what happened to the baby? Why did our little baby have to go to heaven? We wanted her here. What about all the gifts we had for her? There was only silence. I cried myself to sleep. I don't remember much about the next day at school. I felt like the world should have stopped for the day. I was so sad. I knew that God was with me, but I just couldn't understand it. I wanted to be with my mom and my dad. I wanted to see the baby. My Nana picked us up after school and took us to the hospital. I prayed for a miracle. I imagined walking in and the doctor saying this was all a big mistake. I hoped that I would get to hear the baby crying as I walked into the room. I was so scared. I wasn't sure what to expect. This was a nightmare. Once we arrived at the hospital, my brother and I ran in to hug Mom. Our pastors were there to hug us. Everyone was so nice. The nurses were taking pictures of all of us. They even offered us ice cream, popsicles, and crackers. The nurses joined us as we held hands and prayed. They called it a ceremony. I kept looking over at the baby as she lay silently. She looked as if she was sleeping. After the prayer, the pastors hugged us and had to leave. I looked over at Mommy. I could tell that she was pretending to be okay. We were right, Mommy. It was a girl, I said. She smiled with tears in her eyes as she embraced me and my brother. Dad walked, oh, sorry, I didn't show the picture. Dad walked us over to see our little sister. And Dad explained that our baby was stillborn, and this meant that she died inside Mommy's stomach. Mom said she was born into heaven. We named my baby sister Chloe Amber Ray. I couldn't stop looking at her. She was so tiny. She looked like my dad. She was lying on a soft knitted green and yellow blanket. I noticed that her little fingers had long nails. Oh, how I wished I could have painted them for her. What colors would she have liked? Pink? Maybe red? We had the cutest outfits picked out for her, but now she would never be able to wear them. I had to stop myself from imagining playing dress up with her. I wasn't sure what I was expecting for the first time meeting my little sister, but this wasn't it. I wanted her to wake up. She looked so peaceful. I just had to hold her before we said our last goodbyes. Can I please hold her? I asked. Mom and Dad agreed, as the nurse was there to help me. My brother was too afraid and didn't want to hold her. He just watched from the other side of the room as my dad hugged him. Daddy brought her to me, and I gently kissed her forehead. She smelled like baby powder and fresh roses in bloom. I was so glad that I had the chance to see her. The nurse put her on a beautiful white lace gown trimmed in pink ribbons. They took some pictures of her. I even got a picture of me holding her. I just wanted to hold her in my arms forever. That was my first and last time holding my sweet baby sister. A few days later, Mommy was finally able to come home. My brother and I were so excited. We helped clean the entire house and decorated it with flowers and balloons. Some of her close friends and family came over to bring gifts and food. We made it a celebration for Chloe Amber Ray. That was my sister's name. We even got a cake with her name on it. Mom cried. She said this was so special having everyone together. It was a bittersweet moment. Although I was very sad, I was glad and thankful we could be with our friends and family. I walked over and looked outside the window. I looked to the sky. As the sun began to peek through a rain cloud, I saw a beautiful rainbow appear. I closed my eyes. The warm sun felt nice on my face. When I opened my eyes, I couldn't believe what I saw. Out of nowhere appeared a beautiful yellow and black butterfly. It flew gracefully towards me and then away towards the blue sky. This moment felt magical. Mommy once told me that a butterfly represents transition. They are beautiful and tell a story of transformation. She explained they start out as caterpillars, then in their cocoon. After some time, they become a beautiful butterfly. Mom said that when a butterfly crosses your path, it means that you should embrace the changes that come into your life. I was sure that God sent this butterfly to help bring peace. It reminded me that Chloe was not lost. If we lose something, that means we don't know where it is. But I knew exactly where my baby sister was. She was in heaven with Jesus. I pictured her playing in a field of brightly colored flowers, laughing joyfully with other children as butterflies gently kissed their foreheads. Jesus was taking excellent care of my baby sister Chloe and all the little lives unlived. I prayed in that moment, Dear God, please watch over my Chloe Amber Ray. Keep her safe in your arms. Continue to watch over all the new friends that she's made in heaven. Be with all of their families missing their babies. To all the babies gone too soon from miscarriages, stillbirths, and SIDS, let their families know that even on the very rough days, you can fill their hearts with love, comfort, and peace. Help them to know that they are not alone. In Jesus' name, amen. So this book came from a very difficult season for our family. I had my daughter, she was 8 at the time. My son was 6 years old. And the story kind of was based on our story, but we realized that there were so many other families that needed something to help understand miscarriages and stillbirth. And we looked for answers. We tried to find resources and things like that. And it was just something that, even though it happened so often, people just weren't talking about it. And so I began a nonprofit organization called A Little Life Unlived. And we help families that are going through and have gone through the loss of a baby. So this book is super special to me because it was actually inspired by my daughter when she was 8. So we decided to do like a memory box in our house, and they could put notes and things that they bought. If they wanted to put it in the memory box, we kept it in the box for her. And so a few years ago, I had surgery and I was in a really, really difficult season of just resting. And y'all, sometimes that could be really hard to do. So I wasn't able to walk and get around. But my daughter, she came to me and she's like, Mom, you've always talked about writing a book. And I know this is hard for you, but maybe this is the time for you to write your book. And I went into the memory box one day and I saw a letter that she wrote, and she called it her worst day ever. And she talked a little bit about how she felt. And I was like, that's it. It's a story. And so I turned it into a book. So it was inspired by her, but by so many families that have experienced the unfortunate loss of a baby. This is a tool used to help start the conversation about loss. And even though it's, a child's perspective, it's a very great tool to start the conversation so that children can understand what's going on when it's something that's difficult to talk about. So I wanted to show you one more thing in the book. It was inspired from all of the families that I've worked with, and then they've shared their stories with me. I gave them the opportunity to dedicate a butterfly in the memory of their baby. So here we have some beautiful butterflies. They got to pick the colors and they put their baby's name. And so here it's a great opportunity. Um, so I wanted to show you this because this one is a butterfly and a dedication page. So if someone wants to fill in the name here, they also have that option as well. So that's my first book, A Voice for the Butterflies.
I love how you took the baby foot and turned it into a butterfly. That is sweet. And I just love, like, this book, you took what was a tragedy, and it's not only going to help children, but the way in the story, I know you said it's based off of your daughter, but you took the mindfulness of the situation, and she was just looking at what she experienced and being mindful in that moment, and then turning your focus to what you're experiencing rather than dwelling on that sad moment. That's really important to do when you go through something like that. And that's just like, that's almost therapeutic just to listen to, even if because we've all gone through some type of tragedy where
Right.
that just listening to how to sit and be mindful and turn your focus on to other things, and then focusing on the butterfly and start remembering the things that you were taught to do. That was, I'm like, I really just appreciate the way you did that.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. It was one of those things where, and I say this because I realize that I'm a certified grief coach, and I come through so many different types of grief. And one of the things that I always say is grief is unique. It can be beautiful if you make it your own.
Yeah.
It's not on a timeline. It's not measured. You can be having a great day, and the next day something just kind of triggers that hurt and that longing for your loved one. So like you said, Kyra, it is more of a general, just in changing our perspective on grief, and making and finding those beautiful moments to honor your baby. So I said that I use this as a tool for some of the families. Like, I had a family who lost a baby, and she goes to the gravesite every Sunday, and I was able to add her baby's name in here. Now she has a rainbow baby, which is the baby that's born after a loss, a miscarriage. And so her daughter knows that she goes to visit her sibling at the gravesite every Sunday. Well, now that she's a little bit older, she needs some understanding of what happened to the baby before her. So then there we have the butterfly that kind of helps kind of make it personal to the family as they're needed. And I included some really, really important things. Like I said, it was inspired by us, but I used some of these things, like having the ceremony. Everyone's journey is different. It's not going to look like this, but the point is to make it your own. Find those special moments that you can spend with your family. Talk to your children about it, and that to me makes it beautiful. Yeah.
I always talk to people about turning their focus anytime you have a tragedy, rather than dwelling on, like, not, I don't want, like, and like you said, don't like try to forget about it, or because you gotta have that crying and you gotta be in it, but you can still turn your focus and focus on those beautiful things. But like, that's why, a lot of my Caucasian friends, when they go to a Black funeral, they were like in there shouting and singing, and it's, I don't understand it, but that's what we do, is turning that focus so that find some joyful things in that tragedy to dwell on and focus on. Yeah, that's a powerful
it's amazing. And it brings in that's why I say through faith and grace, because I believe that, we will see our loved ones again if they are believers. And for babies, I know they're going to be in heaven. And God gave me this vision of just children just playing. So that's where the cover came from. You see the children playing. And I think that even though we go through our difficult moments of, missing and wondering why and things like that, but if I'm able to just say, I know she's resting with Jesus, that to me changes loss. It changes how, and even though we hurt, we grieve. We do these things because we love. We grieve because we love. If you didn't love, it wouldn't hurt you if you're missing someone. So that's one of the things that I found peace in helping others. And yes, there are days where it's very difficult, not to minimize the loss, but to talk about it. And that's what the book was able to kind of open up the conversation for other families.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I added a activity book, a coloring book, to go with it, because children's literature is just in me. I love children, and I think that it's important to get them to communicate how they're feeling, hear what they're saying. And so this one was super special because I was able to create some different activities. So it actually had the pictures. I know y'all saw those amazing pictures on there, but they also have them in the activity book for them to color it in on their own. And then there's even some butterflies, because who doesn't love to color? Like when you're stressing, I know I color it myself. So it's like just little things like that. And then I incorporated word searches in here. One of them is super special. I'm going to show it to you. I used some of the babies' names that we paid tribute to and added those into the word search as well. So it's more personalized for children that are relating to it. So, and one of my favorite things is, getting conversation. So this one, and that's why I say it's based on the maturity of the child. My 6-year-old at the time, which is why you saw that he wasn't ready to hug the baby, but my 8-year-old was. And so you know your children, parents know their children, so they know what they're ready for. And I don't like to put an age on it, because sometimes it's not by age, it's based on how they interpret it. So I did, some questions to answer. And my favorite part is a journal. To document their feelings, how they're feeling that day. Because grief is a journey and it's very unique. And so sometimes, like, I'll use my son as an example. He was 6, and I think he was 7 at the time. And we were at a wedding, and I was pregnant with my rainbow baby. And out of nowhere, he's just crying. He was just, and I think it just really hit him. And I said, I had to pull him aside. Hey, what's going on? What are you thinking? And he was able to talk. And, so grief has so many different forms. And this is just one tool to use to help children talk about loss. And so this is the first of a series that I will talk about loss and love from a child's perspective. And then I also have other books. So in that season, I actually wrote 5 books. So there'll be more coming. I'm just finishing them up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I love that idea about dedicating the butterfly. And I was wondering, do you have that on? Like, I bet you could do a website on your website where people who experience that, they can just come in and like, then they can list theirs on there. Like,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
that
Yeah.
would really be powerful just for them. And then they can come back and visit your website every now and then just to see, or print it out and put it in they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Powerful.
We have to do that.
Yeah, you should. Like, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Like, really, like.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
But that is, I'm like the way you turned your focus into writing, and even through your season where you were going through and you turned it into writing to heal other people,
Yeah.
That's just a blessing too.
Thank you. I believe that, sometimes people think as believers that we are exempt from pain and trauma, if you will. But we're not exempt from it. It just means as a believer, we go through it differently.
Yeah.
We don't, and I'm not saying that but I believe that when we go through trauma and all types of loss, similar to Job in the Bible, that he wouldn't stop praising. And I think that it brings it to a different perspective when you can find gratitude in your trials, in your hurt. And I believe that we're supposed to be salt and light to the world. And even in a dark season, you can find purpose. Even through your tragedy, you can find purpose and hope.
Yeah. But in the same vein, now I'm gonna get on the soapbox for a minute.
Okay.
But the old church used to always say Jesus will fix it. Jesus will fix it. Jesus will fix it. And they made us feel like we wouldn't have to go through anything because Jesus will fix it.
Exactly.
And so when you start feeling those feelings, it's like, what the hell? Jesus not fixing it. Right. And so now, but now it's good to let people know that you are going to feel those, you will have those feelings of hurt and pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the way Jesus fixes it is by you feeling it, but you realizing that you have a power source from somewhere else, And that's the thing that we didn't know, and a lot of people fell away from the church because we were taught Jesus will fix it, Jesus will fix it, Jesus will fix it. Yeah. And there's no, like, you got to take some responsibility over your feelings. That's and right. What you're going through first. And then you got to turn your focus. Jesus is not going to come down and turn your focus and say, hey, try to do this, help somebody else. These are things that you have to do, and so I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, you right on point. Because you have to do the work. Like, I've gone through a lot of loss and tragedy, and as I'm sure you have as well. But one of the things that I give myself permission to just have a pity party, and I time it. Okay, I put a time limit on that thing. Okay, go ahead, cry it out. But you got 30 minutes to get back up and try to get this done. You know what I'm saying? And that's what, if you need a day, I take them. Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, I will take a day of just uninterrupted, quiet, healing, mentally, physically, spiritually. And sometimes you need that to recharge, and so I encourage that. But I also say, like you said, it's not going to fix itself. You got to get up. You got to get back to it. And so I think that's important to have, that time, And I believe, what is the joy comes in the morning. But what's so important is, we could do a play on words and say morning, right? But morning is when you wake up. Morning is when you become aware that, hey, God's in control. God's got me, even in this sorrow and loss. God's got it. So that could turn, whenever morning is for you,
Right.
mourning turning into mourning, really,
Right.
just being able to just give yourself that space. But then when it comes time to like, but it is a choice, you can, I, I've seen some that grieve and they get stuck there. And I'm like, come on, sis,
Yeah.
that's got something. And something about helping others gets you away from that self-pity, that self-pity party. Like, why did this happen to me? Trust me, I did it. I was there. I was,
I'm
I had
with
my
you. I done cussed God out and everything.
that's right. Like what? And the interesting thing was like when I went through this loss, I was serving at my church. I was on the front line. Like my husband and I were like just really in a
Yeah.
good place. And when this happened, I was like, wait, what?
Right.
Why, God? Why
What's
would this
going
happen?
on, God? Me and
Yeah,
you got some explaining to do.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And so it took me going through what I went through in order to be in a place of where I can shine light. And people ask, how can you do this? How can you be around this much, sadness? And I say, how could I not? If I went through something and and um and I felt like I needed help but didn't know who to talk to, I know I'm not the only one. So that's where I find my purpose. If I went through it, God allowed me to go through it. So not just for me to stay in my sorrow, but to help somebody through it.
And
And
that's
and
what I was gonna say too. By you being a certified grief counselor, or it does, you don't shy away. And the reason that there are not a lot of books on that big topic, because people shy away from, like, if
yeah.
somebody when somebody dies in my, like, or one of my friends family member died, I'm
Mhm,
like, well, I
mhm.
really don't know what to say to
What to
them.
say,
So
right.
I'm gonna say, if I'm praying for you or whatever. So I'm gonna shy away from it, and a lot of people do that. And so God gifted you that you are not shying away from those hard conversations, and that you're willing to tell the people, look, this is what we have. And that's why this book, like, because really, when I read the title, I was like, oh my God, this is probably gonna be like one of those crying, sad stories.
Tearjerker. Mhm.
You made it into a beautiful moment. I mean, like, really, to where it just feels, I have a good feeling all over just about. And I
Thank
really,
you for that. Thank you. That's so important for me. Um, that's the purpose of the story.
yeah,
Like it was like, I don't want to leave you in a sad place. And I realize that everybody has a different journey. So like for an example, in the story, she held the baby.
yeah,
And I want to take a second, if it's okay with you guys, I want to take a second to talk about that because like I went through it, right? And initially I was like, no, the kids can't come. So I said this was a child's perspective, right? So in my head during that time, I was like, that would be too traumatic. I don't want that to be an image that they have. And I was very adamant about it. And one of the ladies who was over the bereavement department, she came to me and she said, I want you to consider your children coming. And I was like, nope, nope, She said, just consider it because they are expecting a baby and they have to grieve too.
yeah,
They need closure. And so, but I say that very delicately because that might not be everyone's journey, right? But for us, my daughter, she was so happy she got to hold her. She
yeah,
was so happy that she had that one moment with her and she told me later, she's like, I don't think I could have forgiven you if you didn't let me come in and see the baby. Like, even though they knew the baby was, they were expecting the baby. And so I say that because everybody's journey is different, but I believe that, in grief, like I said, you find those moments that are super special. So like those were the only memories that she had of her sister. And
yeah,
so to really just go through that. And honestly, if anyone would have said this, let's say 20 years ago when I was at Cookman, right? That I would be doing grief coaching. I would have thought they were crazy. I was the person who, like you said, I didn't want to be around. I hated funerals. I hated just talking about death or loss. It was very different from me. And so to find me in this place, that's how you know it was God really just changing. And now it helps me to just, because think about it this way, in the workforce, if you lose someone, you may get 1 day, 2 days. If it's a close, if it's close
Right.
enough, you might get that time, but you're expected to go back to work and almost like you're not supposed to miss a beat. But that's not how grief works, and so when you lose someone that you love, your life has changed. It's different. And so I think if we would, embrace that change, saying this is my new going forward versus going back to what I used to do with my loved ones, and it's easy to get stuck in that place versus seeing the light
Yeah.
and walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna say about you, I know our conversation, Gloria is just sitting there. I know our conversation is getting lengthy, but with the children, I've always said children can handle anything if you prepare them for it.
Right.
And adults too, you have to prepare them. And what made me so sad last year sometime, I went to a funeral and I could tell the mother did not prepare the child to see the dead body. He started crying and trying to get away. He was scared. And they spanked him like, no, get up there. I'm like, no, wait a minute. You didn't prepare that baby to see a dead body.
Right.
So why, they getting mad? Oh, he bad. He just being bad. No, that's a dead body. You didn't prepare your baby for that.
Right.
And so you have to prepare kids for whatever. And you talk to your kids all the time. And so your daughter, who was 8 at the time, you said, and you had talked with her about the baby, and you said she felt the baby, she saw the pictures. And so, she had already developed a relationship with who that was,
Right. Right.
And so, yeah, that was the thing that if you didn't let her go, she probably would have been like upset because she wanted to see her sister, before. Yeah. So Gloria, you want to move on? You want to have something to say? I know we did talk.
I know she's quiet. I'm like, wait, she's still there. Uh-oh. We can't hear you.
I can't hear you, Gloria.
You're on mute.
I'm on mute and I'm like thinking you can.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, I don't. Hey, I mean, that's just how things are. We're fine with that. So we just let it flow, and that's totally fine. Corinne, I've always admired you because you have always been a beautiful person inside and out. And I think that you've done a phenomenal job with this. I know Kyra and I, we talk about all of the authors to, just in general, like what you think, what we gonna see, what we gonna do, what we gonna say, in general. And so when we were coming to your book, we have had conversations like, he often tells me, don't you start that crying, Gloria, or because he, and today he looked like he was about to go in. But we prayed for Mr. Dibby, and then we heard compassionate Mr. Dibby. Then we heard, I said, oh my God, he's having his own breakthrough. So I can now say to him, don't you start that crying, Kyrie, Mr. I'm playing. But no, I did question, like, this is a very sensitive topic. And I didn't know, like, I'm like, am I gonna cry? Like, am I gonna be in here crying, like, off screen off and just like crying? But what I can say is, as I go back to saying the beauty of who you are, you captivated a moment in time that you really were vulnerable and to share that with everyone, and you made it a beautiful, not just stopping at the beauty of it, but you made it flourish. I have a sense of not only I have a sense of, Mr. Denby said it correctly, mindfulness, but I also have like this sense of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. And I think getting to that okay regarding the severity of whatever it may be could be a different thing, and in experiencing loss, however that loss may be, that is something that a lot of people can't deal with, and then a lot of people have self 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 rejection or blame, or just come down on themselves very, very hard for decisions that they have made themselves. So I can relate where you're coming from, as being a woman and understanding what that looks like. So having to deal with that, it's like, who do you talk to, and how do you talk about it? Because a lot of times you have no community. Once it happens, it's just like it happened. So how do you deal with that? And oftentimes I can go right with Mr. Denby, gotta handle it, God you will work it out. And then you like, okay, well, why did it happen? And then you have your own set of trying to make sense of it all. And so that is a very difficult, challenging, very hard time, because you do have moments and days where it's just like, what's going on? And so for you to really bring that out, I not commend you, but I say thank you, because so many people, so many women don't even know where to start. And then, God bless the husband, the spouse, the boyfriend, God bless them, because they don't probably know where to start either. So just being able to create this beautiful platform that you've created, with also the educational components, the resources, that you've created, just to make this a beautiful experience is just is wow.
Corinne, I do want to say, we do. I want you to be on the lookout, because the week leading up to homecoming, we want to do a Wildcat read-in. So we want to have you back on to read again, or maybe if you have your new book finished, you can read that one, or just read this one again. Okay. I know Gloria, I didn't finish okaying it with Gloria. I already told her I was gonna do it, but I didn't okay it. But we gonna that would be really, so we're gonna try to have all Wildcat authors for the reading. And so this yeah, I'd love to see you again and come back on with us.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I want to take the time to say thank you. One, Gloria, really, when you reached out to me, it was just God's timing, of course. And just thank you for this platform, for what you're doing. You guys, I just love it. I just kind of, when Gloria told me about it, I had to go back and I started watching videos. I was like, oh, this is nice. I didn't know it was here. So now I know you're here. Y'all ain't gonna get rid of me.
But no, I mean, this is I know that I'm pushed forward a lot with the things that we do. I do with Children's Island, but as I mentioned, don't contact him though. But Mr. Denby is I advise. So you up to don't contact him. I would personally send you an inbox message. Don't do it. No, I'm playing. But he really is he, like anybody who knows me, I always say that's my mentor, but he is my mentor and very close friend. And I appreciate him for saying, you need to do this, and then I just do it. So he know I'm gonna do it and get it done.
Hey,
So he really is an intricate part of why we are doing what we're doing, and a great delegator. I have to still learn a lot of his skills. So because he tell me what to do.
yeah,
But
I'm learning that too. Like, just learn how to delegate. Oh, that's hard.
He learned it from Doc.
Go over there and
Doc, yeah, you got to do that again. I tell you, it just reminds me so much of cooking. And when I see Kara, when you walk in the room like that. Oh, wow.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, but I'm great. It's just the opportunities that we have been able to just to be a part of, to share, and authors, like really like Black authors. And one of the things that I definitely defined was the purpose of Children of Island, which is children education and inclusion.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been in professional life and also business life, it's been like inclusion. Like, what is inclusion? Because we often just coin it as Black, Caucasian, Hispanic,
right.
And that's it. Or man, man, woman, okay. And we just leave it that way. But when we look at inclusion, we also have to look at grief, not just the various sexualities that we do find that's in our classrooms, but also that's an emotional, social emotional aspect as well. So that's a part of inclusion. So like I say, we are here. We definitely, if you don't mind, we definitely would love to invite you back on at some point for the summer, or probably even the fall or something. But
I would love that. I'd love that. Anything you need from me. Y'all, I'm here.
Okay.
Appreciate you. And you one of my favorites anyway, so I just always admire you. Always. I have always like her, she always dressed so nice and so pretty and had a nice attitude. So it's just always like, oh my God, it's always a pleasure to be around you. So
I think a lot of people, that didn't know me thought like, oh, she's this. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying this, but I'm one of the coolest people you'll ever meet.
Good old Korean.
Right.
Listen, last week at the Super Bowl, I had to tell my kids because I was so excited for Dre and Snoop Dogg on the listen, I told my kids, I said, y'all have one of the coolest moms ever. To see Dre, Snoop, and Mary J, all of that.
All of it.
All of it, all the way around. Look, from rock to hip hop to gospel.
Right. Da, 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 da.
Throw some hip hop in the box to gospel, like
right. Come on with it. Yes, indeed.
Oh my God, this is beautiful. So beautiful. I
wanted to tell you guys where, if anyone's watching and they want to.
We didn't mean to ask you that, where we can get it and your website.
So it is available on Amazon, but it's also available on my new website. It's called For Love and Loss, and it's spelled FOR, Love and Loss. And that is where you'll see all of my reading materials. When new stuff comes out, it'll all be there. I've created like a little, I guess, grief shop, if you will. It has keepsakes and memorabilia, and we're going to have some personalized things coming soon, but that is where you can get the book. I have it available. The hardcover is $25, and then the activity book is $10. I have it. The paperback is $15.
Okay.
And then on Amazon right now and on my website, I have the limited edition, which is a combination of the two. Okay. So it's the book and the coloring and the activity book in the back. So that's this one. This one is available on the website and my website.
What's wrong with my computer? I can't. I got my screen on. I see the butterfly and you have the keepsakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and post. I was trying to show you to make sure it was the right website. I'm gonna post it under the
Okay.
line in the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much. And if you order from my website, you do get a signed copy and a free gift.
Okay. I'm gonna order my copy.
And then also, we're already connected on Facebook. If you could share that information with me in our message, that'd be great. Because I am going to do next month, starting March 1st. I'm already in May. March 1st, I'm going to go like throughout the days and post the book review for everyone. Because I tried to do it last year, it was like a lot trying to post that. It was just like, oh goodness. So I just rather just go ahead and just write them out now and then just post them throughout the whole entire month of March, because we have the same kind of update frames and stuff. This is beautiful. I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy for you, and this is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I know I said it, but I can't express, how grateful I am for you guys. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I wanted to read the comments that we have that people had shared with us. I wanted to read some of the comments. I know that, let me get to it right now. Roland said, hello. Your husband said, that was amazing. And I know Shakira, you probably remember Shakira. I think it's Hamilton. Shakira Hamilton. She said yes. I think it's probably something we were talking about. She was just saying yes about it. But this has really been a beautiful experience again, and I thank you so much for joining us. And I know you'll be joining us back again. So
yes, I will. I'm here. Y'all stuck with me now, so.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I have insomnia on some nights, so I start like 2 and 3 in the morning, and I'm commenting on stuff, and my husband's like, "You were up?" I'm like, "Yeah."
No, I saw
I get my best work done.
Right. That's why I be on TikTok.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So this is really this has been a gorgeous moment, and truly one of my dearest moments thus far. So I just really want to tell you thank you so much. And Mr. Denby, thank you very much for joining with me. We've been sticking together through a lot of stuff, but I thank you so much for just being who you are and just showing up. And so, I mean, we feel good. I'm so
Play that Wildcat song one more time.
Hey, here we go. Let me turn the keyboard back on. Let me turn the keyboard back on. Come on, keyboard. Here we go. Let it go.
Wildcats. Let's go.
Wildcats.
Let's go. Wildcats. I love it. Love it. Love it.
This is the last one. Don't make me say. Y'all ready?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
We're going to do a full concert.
Yes. There we go. Throw the hip hop in the middle now.
Hip hop, boy. Y'all a best.
Oh, I will have a fit.
Well, everyone, we have had a really refreshing time this afternoon, this evening so far. Thank you so much for joining us, Author Corinne Parker, Mr. Kyrie Denby, and everyone who all have taken time out of your Thursday evening to join us for our day 17 for the Great African American Reading. So we will see you all tomorrow night for day number 18. We are Children's Island, where learning is a breeze. Have a wonderful night, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.